Hey, and welcome back to another episode of the Business Real Talk, where we're going to talk about today. It is so good. We're going to talk about how you can turn any size audience, big or small, into buyers without playing the algorithm game. Now, here's the deal. Right now, it may feel like you're hustling for views, constantly chasing this bigger idea of audience, lists, etc., when all you really want to be doing is working with your clients and not just marketing your business. Now, what you need to be able to do is actually quit chasing those algorithms and learn how to leverage sales psychology to turn any audience, whether that's 100 people or 1 million people, into eager premium clients. This is the shift that has allowed my clients to do things like have a $32,000 a month with a tiny audience and a group size of under 300 members, or how we were able to turn one single short form video on TikTok with less than 150 views into $30,000 in booked revenue. And it's what allows my clients to consistently monetize their audience and convert sales without having to chase the algorithm. So listen up. You've been lied to, okay? I'm going to give it to you straight. You've been told that the answer to consistently growing your profit, really being able to take your business to the next level, lies in more clients and size. But the truth of the matter is, size doesn't matter. The size of your audience, it's not the number one most important thing. The size of how many leads you have on your email list. Real talk, size and chasing this bigger is better phenomena that values virality, list sizes, and how many people you have on your payroll is only giving you a false sense of safety and success. Now, here's what I want you to understand. This happens to every size business owners. And a year ago, I had someone in my DMs sending me a message with 7 simple words I'd seen from everyone from influencers with hundreds, if not millions of followers, all the way down to business owners who were hustling for their first 1,000 followers. Those 7 words ring true across the board. What she said to me was, I can't keep doing it like this. This message from a so-called influencer, a big name, by any account, you would have seen her and you would think she was crushing it. Big list, check. Hundreds of thousands of followers, check. Fans falling all over her, check. But truth of the matter was, she was exhausted. She was chasing size. And what she didn't realize was that she had a lot of eyeballs and a lot of people sending her "you're awesome" messages. She was struggling to actually monetize that attention without feeling like she was selling her soul or chasing the next best thing to get there. She had a team of 5 because she needed people to help her keep up with the comments, the messages, the content editing, everything. But she was barely breaking even, trying to cover her growing team and the hours that she was spending churning out content and getting on calls, only to be faced with the dreaded "I can't afford it" that you and I all experience as well. She was done, ready to shut it all down. And this is the reality that so many people don't see. She was sold on this idea that having a large audience, going big and going viral, and chasing size altogether was the answer. And it only left her with more stress, more exhaustion, and feeling like she was honestly going on a downhill battle fast. So here's the deal. You can have hundreds, thousands, or millions of followers or people on your list, but it won't do a damn thing if you don't have a strategic approach to how you can turn those eyeballs into eager paying clients. So first and foremost, I want you to leave here today recognizing and reminding yourself to stop chasing virality. Size doesn't matter. Now, what we want to get into next is why size doesn't matter and why hitting $50,000, $100,000 months or signing dream clients over and over again has nothing to do with the size of your audience. Now, here's what I need you to understand. I've had dozens of clients who actually did go viral. They had temporary success, more attention than they could probably handle. They've had millions of views, thousands of shares, tens of thousands of comments. But that virality did very little in terms of their long-term success. It gave them this burst, more of a validation than anything else. But ultimately, that would fizzle out. And the ones who truly learned from it is going to be what I'm going to share with you here today. They didn't actually chase going viral. They simply put their head down. They focused on continuing to get their message into the hands of the people who wanted actual, real change instead of the inspirational buzz that viral content had given to them. Now, the other people who maybe didn't do as well chased the high of trying to hack the algorithm and create more virality, thinking that that was the answer because it really satisfied their need of feeling good. But your audience size becomes irrelevant. Honestly, I've had clients who don't even have any of their own audience and they've borrowed other people's audiences in order to grow their business successfully. It's completely possible. And the reason is because it comes down to two core factors. Number one is people. At the end of the day, a successful business relies on the most important currency, which is people. The level of intent your audience has is going to matter way more than the number of people staring back at you. Number two is the relationship you have to these people. A lot of people don't realize that they collect people like their favorite trophy that they put on their shelves. But the reality of the matter is people are only as valuable as the relationship we create to them. How you're seen, how you're remembered, how you create something with them, AKA positioning, is ultimately what creates the result that you want, which is changing lives, hitting revenue goals, being able to make the impact you actually wanted. And one of the biggest tools that allows you to do both of those things is rooted in that most powerful resource, people. Now, ultimately, we need to understand why people buy in order to help them make faster and better decisions. Now, there's three core reasons people buy. Number one is the belief they have in themselves. Being able to create safety and certainty creates that feel-good mentality that helps people feel amazing about the decision they're making. Now, think about it for yourself. When was the last time you made a decision based on the belief it had for you? Number two is the belief in results. I call this the relationship between you and them. We use things like future pacing and visualization in order to achieve this. But the reality of the matter is people buy in order to experience a feeling that they get from having those needs met. How you help them create that belief in the results they experience happens when they work with you. Now, number three is the belief they have in you. This is a perception of value. Do they see you as someone they can trust, that has their best interest in mind and creates value beyond what they know that they're capable of on their own? That's that relationship you have to their result. Now that you understand the basis behind sales psychology and why the size of your audience doesn't matter, we want to understand the simple formula for high converting sales conversations that are truly rooted in that best resource of humans and human behavior so that your prospect never feels pressured and feels empowered to say, hell yes. Now, it comes down to three core factors of our formula. Factor number one is making it about them. We talked a lot about why there's only three reasons people buy. One of them is how they feel and the belief they have in themselves. So making it about them reinforces the belief they've had in themselves. Now, the problem is we've created a mentality of what I call the I mentality when it comes to how we market and sell. Truth is that telling your story is only as important as how that connects back to your audience, because when it comes to sales psychology, when it comes to making buyer decisions, it matters of how they feel when it comes to you. Knowing how to do this means that we need to understand that people buy based on how they feel. So your goal, even when sharing your own story, is to make it about them and not you. So here's one simple shift that you can do in order to achieve that. When you're telling a story or sharing an anecdote, answer the question, what's in it for them? That's what your audience is thinking at any given point. It's an innate behavior that we have, is wondering what's in it for me. So when you go to share a story or talk about a specific thing, I want you to be able to answer the question, what's in it for them? Because that's the question they're asking themselves. So a great way that we do this, as an example, is if you're sharing your authority and what really makes you the authority, I want you to learn how to equate it back to them in a way that matters to them. Here's an example. I oftentimes will share my authority as a business strategist by saying, I'm a business strategist with 18 years of experience. Why that matters to you is that I'm able to identify your natural sales and marketing skills to help you develop a strategy that is built around you. I took something that would otherwise seem like it was about me and my authority and literally created a bridge back to what it really means to them and answered the question that they themselves innately were asking. Number two is reinforcing positives, even in perceived negatives. Now, this sounds really fancy, but it's not. It comes down to understanding that obviously selling can feel really uncomfortable. It's no surprise that oftentimes selling can be uncomfortable, often due to the negative factors and how you really look at what your prospect is perceiving through your message. So as a result, we try to avoid all negative because it only creates that salesman effect when we do this. Here's an example. You go see this car salesman, you're ready to buy a car, and they tell you anything you need to hear in order to get you by. They avoid all uncomfortable conversations because they don't want to feel like there's anything negative about your purchasing decisions. Now, sales psychology isn't about trickery. It's not about pushing. It's not about manipulation. It's about helping people feel confident in the decisions that they're making. So one way we can do this is actually by reinforcing positives even as we share perceived negatives. One of the biggest things that people hear are financial objections in their business. So rather than avoid the financial discussion or hide when you're ready to share your price point, there's a much easier way to actually share something that feels like a perceived negative in a really positive way. So a great way to do this is to connect the two pieces together. And I'm going to explain to you how it works and how we actually do it. So the example of this is when you go share your price point that may be higher than industry average, maybe you're charging 2 to 3 times more because you have something that's amazing. Rather than share a price and then try to retract back and feel uncomfortable and deal with the objection after the fact, we get in front of it. So an example of this would be, hey, I'm not the cheapest in the industry, but I'm the one that gets my clients results. In that moment, I'm able to accomplish 2 things. Number 1, I'm sharing my price point confidently, but caveating that with being able to say, I'm not cheap, which is something that a lot of times people feel uncomfortable saying, is that I'm actually expensive. I charge a lot for working with me. But then we connect it back to a positive, which is, but I get my clients results. Now, the powerful thing and the sales psychology behind this is that this actually accomplishes 2 things. Number 1, our brains will automatically think of the most expensive price point that we can come up with when someone shares that something isn't cheap. Now, the reality of this is that price point they have in their mind is going to be higher than what you share, which automatically makes you look like a steal of a deal. Number 2 is that we actually connected something that felt like a negative to a positive, only helping them release the fear around it. So now that we've talked about how we actually can reinforce those positives, even in the perceived negatives, let's talk about how we actually get your audience to sell themselves. The truth of the matter is nobody wants to feel sold to, but everyone wants to buy. Feeling empowered in decisions is a main component of a powerful sales psychology strategy. Remembering that we're not here to manipulate or trick, this only leads to unhappy clients and higher refund requests, and honestly, a bigger headache for you. Getting your prospects to sell themselves not only makes your job easier, but puts them in the driver's seat, meaning that they feel confident and proud of themselves and the decision that they're making. The easiest and fastest way to do this is to bridge the need they have to your solution so that you're not just telling them what they should do, telling them about features and benefits, you're showing them how that you actually do this. A great example of this is you take the goal they have and connect it back to how you do it. Let's say that somebody has a goal to be able to travel the country while signing clients. You're going to take the goal they have and connect it back to exactly what you do that allows them to accomplish that. In doing so, you create a simple connection between the things that they want to the things that you accomplish without needing to bog them down in more features and benefits. This is why the EasyS method is the only system out there that helps you leverage sales psychology and have leads that are selling themselves using a Netflix effect. Here's what it comes down to. There's 3 core components. Number 1 is being able to have the messaging and positioning that attracts high intent leads and gets them to see you as the only and incomparable solution. We do this by using what we call innovative gap methodology. This identifies the gap in the marketplace and creates an innovative solution in how you do things to actually fill for that gap and make them see you as the only and incomparable solution. This step alone allows you to 3 to 5x your price points and have clients that line up to work with you. Step 2 is what we call bingeable authority system. This leverages human psychology and what we call mimic decision making to take what people naturally need in order to make decisions and mimics it in a bingeable system using audio or video to answer those exact questions people have before they make a purchase. This means you're no longer just simply pre-qualifying leads, you're pre-selling them so that they actually land on your calendar saying, I'm ready to work with you. Let's talk about the next steps. The third and final piece is results and retention. Being able to have a sustainable business that makes it for the next 10 to 15 years requires you to have a strategy that allows you to get consistent results for your clients so that you can retain them long term. What we look at when it comes to your offering is how can you actually deliver results at scale so that whether or not you're working with one client or 100, you're able to deliver the same consistent results so your clients are shouting from the rooftop telling everyone they know about your services. So if you want to learn more about how the easiest method works, make sure to book your free blueprint call now. The link can be found in the show notes or below this video for you to learn more about this. And make sure you share this with a friend if you found this valuable, and stay tuned for our next episode of the Business Real Talk.